I guess before I start, I can show you this. The cat, every time he lays with me, he puts his arm on me and he sticks one freaking nail inside of me to grip on. And it kind of hurts. But he does it all the time. I try to get that one nail out, but yes. So, we're doing psychic education today. We've been doing a very particular means of connecting to our guides and angels, and we've been reading the chakra book. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start another book this morning. It's more of an introductory book. So, we're going to read that today. But, as per usual, we're always going to start with a verse from the Tao Te Ching, verse 10. Squex. How are you? Yo. What's up? How are you? What's up tonight? Welcome, welcome. This is you talking is like the first conversation that I had today, so my voice is really, oh hey, I just woke up. So, we are reading the Tao Te Ching, verse 10. Hold fast to the power of the One. It will unify the body. Immerse it with the Spirit. It will cleanse the vision and reveal the world as flawless. It will focus on the life force and make one supple as a newborn. Good morning, Shocking. How are you today? What's up, Squex? Are you in bed already? Good morning. As you love the people and rule the state, can you be free of self-interest? As the gates of heaven open and close, can you remain steadfast as the mother bird who sits in her nest? As your wisdom reaches the four corners of the world, can you keep the innocence of the beginner? I'm doing lovely as well. Know this primal power that guides without forcing, that serves without seeking, that brings forth and sustains life, yet does not own or possess it. That's pretty cool. We only read one verse from the Tao Te Ching on a weekly basis, so we've been reading this for 10 weeks. Last night I went to someone's house locally and did a service for them. And guys, I was in love while I was there. Because yes, I do have 2 cats, but I wish I had like 18. And I'm not a dog fan, but the breed of dog that they had at their house was my favorite breed of dog. So they had little baby kittens, and the little baby kittens wanted to hang out with me. Literally, I had a little baby kitten cuddled in my lap for the last half an hour of my session. But yeah, they had a beautiful dog. They had like 7 cats. It was awesome. So I had a good session last night. Yeah, it was quite snowy yesterday here. Mostly everything was shut down, but I still went out and did my energy work, and it was nice because I purposely stopped doing local energy work so that I could focus on Twitch. So, it's nice that I have the capabilities of doing both again. So, quite pumped. I'm looking through the book here. I'm trying to see where we're starting because where I actually marked the book is not where we actually are. There. We're going to start with chapter 7. We're going to start reading a chapter here. Then we'll try technique. This chapter is only about 8 pages long, so We are reading Sonia Choquette, Ask Your Guides, Connecting to Your Divine Support System. If anybody ever asks me about how to connect to guides or angels, I honestly send them to this book. Because this lady is amazing. Oh my. I have a hive on my forehead. Give me a second here, please. Can I predict the future? I would have to say I suck at that. I don't know. Predicting the future is a very generic term. Can I give advice based on the energy of someone's path? Heck yes. So, we are on chapter 7. Frequently asked questions about your spirit guides. The number of available guides and spiritual resources that can help you throughout this lifetime is endless. In addition to your angels, there's an infinite number of helpers on the other side, known as spirit guides, who are as varied as the people in your life and serve all kinds of short and long-term purposes. If you can imagine that your angels are your bodyguards and foot soldiers, then your spirit guides are your volunteer corps, ready, willing, and able to serve you when you call upon them. There are several questions that inevitably come up when the subject of spirit guides is discussed, and the answers can be very specific depending upon the particular guides in question. This chapter will serve as your crash course in spirit guides, giving general answers to these questions and laying a foundation for the more detailed explanations that will unfold as you introduce the different types of spirit guides in the next section of the book. Hey, baby Storm. So in the hopes of getting the most basic information regarding the spirit world out there for you to consider, let me present to you the 4 most commonly asked questions regarding our next level of guides. What is the difference between angels and spirit guides? There are several important differences between angels and spirit guides that include everything from their experience, or lack thereof, in human form to their purpose in our lives, the level of involvement they can have in them, and the way that they communicate with us. For example, while angels have never had an earthbound experience, most spirit guides have had at least one, so they understand firsthand the particular trials and challenges that we face as humans. Consequently, they're available to us when we need them to encourage and assist us, and to teach us how to grow our soul and master our creativity in human form. Hello, Andre. What is up? What does BSB stand for? May I ask, how are you today, Andre? Hey, Storm, stop it. Don't eat my headphones. Don't eat my headphones. Oof. That was awesome. Thank you, Storm. Okay, and teach us how to grow our soul and master our creativity in human form. The key words here are when we need them. Unlike angels, who are on divine assignment from God to serve us around the clock, from the beginning to the end of our lives, and to influence us every day, whether we're aware of them or not, spirit guides, although available, can't serve or direct us without permission. They can, and do, often succeed in catching our attention and getting us to ask for their help, but they must respect that it is our life and they can't enter it without an invitation. Finally, angels have a more higher vibration than guides. Since they're so close to God, they're very easy to connect to. They protect, inspire, energize, and empower us, and while they may influence through our consciousness, they don't necessarily offer direct advice or instruction, which is what our spirit guides do. So they each seem to have their benefits. So, who are spirit guides? Since most spirit guides are beings who've lived in at least some part of their existence on Earth, it's not surprising that they've come back to serve us. In fact, some guides may connect with us because they've had similar challenges in their earthly lives and want to offer their guidance to ease our way. Still, others may show up to help us in certain projects or tasks because in their past life they were masters in the discipline we're exploring or working in. Spirit guides may also be family members who've crossed over and elected to stay connected with us from the spirit plane to offer direction and help. I've had this particular experience, and now this guide has moved on. Similarly, entities who may have shared some important relationship or spiritual work with us in past life may choose to continue working with us in this life in order to contribute to the continuing enrichment of our soul's experience. There are also spiritual teachers who are some of the most important guides who desire to help us learn and understand our true spiritual nature, all the while assisting us grow our souls. And then we have scouts and runners, or guides who've lived past incarnations very close to the earth, such as Native Americans, who help us become more connected to the natural world. In addition to all of these wonderful entities, keep in mind that the guide who comes through to assist you may even be your own higher self, which is as beautiful and enlightened as any other guide that you may meet. Feet. Come on, Katie. Where do spirit guides come from? The answer to this question is also a bit complicated, since spirit guides come from a number of different realms and energy fields. There are also many guides entering the earthly plane from other galaxies or solar systems, some of who have never had physical bodies, who are connecting to us to help restore the planet to balance and peace. Good day, Marson. How are you today? What's up? We're just already reading some information about angels. Zen Candy. I bet you passed out right away yesterday, Zen Candy. How are you? All right. Yesterday morning, I actually woke up and took an allergy pills. I didn't think I needed one this morning, but my face is like meh, llama face. Yes, they can, Jay Sulu. Exactly. And Jay Sulu said sometimes they can appear in the form of orbs. Yes. Flashes of light, orbs. Yes. How was everybody's Tuesday? I was going to say Monday. My Tuesday just flew by. I did this, and then I went to work, and then I had a session last night locally. And it was good, but I didn't get into bed until after 10. And typically I like going to bed a little bit earlier. So, we are starting with question number 4. How many spirit guides do we have? Zen Candy? Please do if you need to. I hope you're doing all right though, Zen. My teacher Charlie Goodman taught me that people generally have access up to 33 guides, excluding their angels, at any given time. 33 at any given time. However, if the individual succeeds in expanding their consciousness and raising their vibration, that number rises to any amount that they care to connect with. Oh no. Okay. For example, I began working with just two guides when I was a very young child, one of who I called Dot because I experienced her as a bright blue dot of light in my mind's eye. This is exactly it. J. Sulu. This is the orb that we were talking about. And she said that she believes that she is her higher self. And another named Rose, who looks very much like Saint Teresa, and whom I feel I've shared past lives with. So they say Saint Therese, but not Saint Teresa, but I said Saint Teresa instead of Saint Therese. In addition to these two guides, who have continued to work very closely with me throughout my entire life, I connected with another guide named Joseph, with whom I shared a past life as an Essene. Essene? He's also been around since my childhood, and although he comes and goes, he's always there to help me when I need him in matters relating to physical health. As I got older and my soul continued to grow, I became acquainted with several of my spirit teachers. I first met 3 French bishops who were associated with the... Why is she giving me hard words to say? In the Middle Ages, and who served as my teachers in other past lives as well. They will always be with me, as will the 2 additional teachers I've met, who are from another galaxy and call themselves the Palladian Sisters. I feel that I've had no past life connection with them, but that they were simply attracted to me by a desire to help me better serve people in understanding their life purpose. I only ever met my first set of spiritual guides, maybe within the last 5 years. Recently, I've been making a connection with a new set of guides who call themselves the Emissaries of the Third Ray. What's interesting is that my council called themselves the Council of Seven. This team of guides doesn't work with the individuals and generally shows up to speak through me to larger groups. Sorry, I just had like an aha moment there. Because of the density of the third dimension, they tend to condense into a spear form. Nice. J. Sulu. Do I know my soul lineage? I don't. I don't even know what soul lineage is. Do elaborate so that everybody in this chat and I can learn something new today. I know, like, if we're talking about like where we came from, I can definitely say that I was Palladian and from Lemuria, sorry, but I don't know if that's what we're talking about. So as you can see, not only can the number of guides in your life change, but the guides themselves and the amount of time they remain in your life can change, evolve, and shift as you grow your soul. Over the years, I've had many guides, mainly helpers and healers who've appeared and then left to allow new entities to take their place. This happens all the time. It's like a revolving door. I've had an entity, a spirit guide, tell me that they were now replacing themselves with someone new because I was beyond that point of needing them. Oh, J. Sulu, if anybody knows their soul lineage, please let us know. Please let us know now. But what's interesting is that, like, I can't even say this name properly, but like I feel like I think I'm adding a syllable into this word, but I think they're called breatharians, but I want to call them breatharian. But like they breathe air for food. I feel like that's a part of my soul lineage. I know that's messed up, but Palladian, Lemurian, and breatharian. Because food in this lifetime seems miserable, and like being a breatharian seems like it'd be amazing. Like, I hate food. The same is true for my husband Patrick, who has several loyal and beautiful guides who help him in many different aspects of his life. For example, there's Seamus, the king, one of his spirit teachers who inspires him to leadership. Jean-Qui, a helper guide, who with whom he shared many past lives, who works hard to help Patrick retain a sense of adventure and fun, and Larry, his companion guide, who helps him listen and communicate better. One second. I know that I have a big connection to Lemuria J. Sulu. The fact that like my physical features in this lifetime and my actual love of crystals and stuff, it just I wasn't even told about Lemuria. They told me that I was a part of it. So, and by they, I mean guides. When I say Pleiadian, that's me putting a title to myself. Because Pleiadians look tall and blonde, are spiritual. That's the only reason why I tagged myself with that. Ooh, QHHT. Guys, if you ever in your life want to have a ridiculous experience with energy work and past lives, do it in QHHT. QHHT. Very rare to find a practitioner, but it's amazing. That makes sense, Jay Sulu. But yeah, if you ever need a clarification, QHHT is the modality to do it in. Like, I'm not even talking about like psychics or like mediums. Go to a QHHT person. They're awesome. In addition to this trio, Patrick has also connected with an artist named Vincent who showed up several years ago to help him in the pursuit of painting, his deepest love. And finally, there's Mary, who is a teacher who aids him in softening his heart, opening his mind, and understanding all things feminine, especially the woman in his family. My sister, on the other hand, works with many guides who are family members she was very close to as a child growing up in Denver, especially Grandma and Grandpa Choquette, and our great aunt Emma Bernard, all of whom keep her spirit light, loving and laughing. As a healer herself, she's always attracted a number of beautiful healing guides, including several ancient Hawaiian and Polynesian healers and warriors with whom she's shared past lives. These entities appear in her healing room, and she channels them through her body, and she works to clear past psychic debris and free her clients' spirits. In fact, when she works on me, with the help of her guides, my spirit was taken out of body, deeply nurtured and cleared, while my physical body was emptied of all energetic disturbances. That's beautiful. Well, it was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. Is that one that got exploded? Yeah. I know all about that planet. I've studied the universe a little bit. So yeah, I do know about that. No. JC Lou, I know all about this. When I used to live up in a different city and live with other people in university, the people that I lived with, I'm telling you, it reminds me of that show, Big Bang Theory. I swear, I was Penny. But the guy I was dating was doing a master's in physics. And all of his friends were doing masters and doctors in physics. So the guy I was dating, he actually specifically loved astrology. And he had access to the 6,000 times zoom telescope lens. that the university had, and he used to do tours, but yeah, we had access to that 6,000 times zoom lens. I could legit see the craters on the moon, and the moon just looked like it was right in front of us. It was awesome. I actually saw a nebula as well. Like, I saw like a dark nebula. I saw the moons of Jupiter. Ugh, just depending on the time of year. It was amazing. Yeah. It is amazing. It was a really, really good experience, even for those who weren't into astrology, cosmology, all of that fun stuff. So, astronomy, there we go. That's the word I was looking for. Astronomy. I know the words make a difference, so that's why I was trying to find the proper word there. Oh my gosh. Now you know what you want for Christmas. Imagine if we all gathered up together and went for a tour at the university. Ugh, that would be amazing. Just staring at all the beautiful stars, seeing the planets, seeing Jupiter so close that you can actually see the rings. Ugh, it's amazing. All right. We got a little box up here of information, so we're going to read that. Did you know that guides can be helpers, healers, teachers, runners, past life connections, family, high terrestrial beings from other galaxies, and even animals? You have the right to ask only for the highest guides, and when you do, you're under no obligation to listen to any of the guidance that doesn't feel right or good to you. The more open you are to your guides and their help, the greater your life will be. The only function of guides is to offer their help to you. Oh, you want a new PC? So, Miss Zen Candy is saving up for a new PC, and kudos to you. Good luck, madam. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Keep in mind that some spirit guides are better than others, so it's important to make certain that we're working with the best ones possible. Whether in a body or not, we're all on a journey towards higher consciousness, and we therefore need to remember that just because someone has crossed over into the spirit and wants to serve as a guide, it doesn't necessarily mean that he or she is instantaneously enlightened. This reminds me of a client, Amy, and her mother, Maria, who crossed over into spirit and was serving her as a guide. Although Amy was thrilled beyond belief to be once again connected to her mother, she soon realized that as a spirit, Maria was nearly as cautious and fearful as she had been when she was alive. Every time Amy wanted to take a trip or do something adventurous or indulgent, she asked her mother for guidance and could instantly feel her replying, "Be careful. Oh my, that's expensive," instead of "Go for it. Enjoy." I fought with her fears throughout my entire life, Amy told me, exasperated. Now I feel she'll bug me into infinity. Laughing, but sympathetic, I replied, "Why don't you just simply stop asking your mother's opinion on certain things? Body or spirit, she's still your mother that you know and love. And if you're going to ask her opinion, don't be surprised when you get it." It was better for Amy to consult Marie on topics where she wanted her input, such as simply reassuring her of her love and continued presence in her life and in her heart, and to leave her out of any decisions that involved venturing out and indulging her whims, since that was never her mother's best territory. So once again, we're being asked here to ask for the best guides, the best and highest good. I don't know why, but my room's been chilly the last few days, so I actually brought in a blanket today. Even though the heat is really up. When connecting with your angels, it's very important that you're conscious of your intentions. One of the reasons why people have trouble connecting with or feeling their guides is that they're too willing to turn over their lives entirely. High spiritual guides, those whose souls are elevated and are genuinely interested in supporting your growth, will only offer suggestions, and they'll never tell you what to do. You can tell if it's a guide You can tell if a guide is from an elevated vibration and is worth listening to if they refuse to connect with you and interfere when they know that you want them to do exactly that. Let's try that again. You can tell if it's a guide from an elevated vibration and worth listening to if they refuse to connect with you and interfere when they know that you want them to do exactly that. Interesting. High spiritual guides understand that they're not there to run your life in any way, nor should you let them, and that you're here on earth, on this earthly plane, attending spiritual school to learn to claim your divine creative power. Your guides serve only as tutors. They won't do your homework for you. So we have a your turn experiment here. Getting to know your guides and learning to work with them is exciting and will make your life magical and stress-free. They want to help you whenever they can and are simply waiting for you to invite them to get involved. The best way to get started in connecting with your spirit guides is to spend some time thinking about the areas of your life where they can be best of service. Take an inventory of your life and figure out which areas that aren't working and which are. Make a mental or written list of what you'd like to experience that you aren't. Where are you most interested in gaining spiritual guidance? What endeavors or disciplines would you most like assistance in exploring? Once you've decided where you'd like your spiritual support, we'll discuss the steps that are necessary to connect with the guides who can help you accomplish those goals. So, next week we will read one chapter and dig into that, of course. But guys, we're learning to connect with our angels here. So we're going to do the homework for the next week. So the homework that they're asking us to do this week is spend time. I know that we probably already know some of the answers to this, but spend time taking an inventory of our life and figure out which areas that we want to work on and the areas that we don't want to work on, or what may we want or need spiritual guidance on. So our homework is to just take note of all of those things. So if we're going to start taking note of all of those things, where would I like spiritual guidance? Personally, I would like spiritual guidance with my business. Now, I'm being told as I say that, Katie, you get spiritual guidance all the time. But I wish that there's just so many doors that are open, right? And I just wish that I knew exactly which door to take and which door to put my effort and my focus on. And yeah, that's what I need spiritual guidance for. And what endeavors or disciplines would you like most assistance in exploring? Well, I'd like to keep on exploring my creative side in the background of doing Twitch stuff, like making emotes and creating additional content for people to enjoy. And I want to do that in the best and most highest successful way without feeling pressure. Oh, hello, Andre. Welcome back. Who the angel on the book is? Well, what book we're reading is Sonia Choquette, Ask Your Guides. But we are done reading this for this morning. We're going to go back to it next week. So we started with a verse from the Tao Te Ching. Andre, welcome to the community. Andre, I need to tell you that the BSB part of your name reminds me of Backstreet Boys. I'm so sorry. Does it stand for Backstreet Boys? I doubt it. So, next week we're going to do this again. I'm going to take a drink. Just give me a moment. Good morning. What time is it there? Yes, sir. This is the exact time it is right now. Right meow for me. It is 6:36 in the morning. I am 1 hour ahead of Eastern time. So, guys, we were just talking to about spirit guides and receiving spiritual guidance. Oui, je parle français, mais pas beaucoup. I do speak French, but not a lot. It's been about 6 years since I've actually had a French conversation, so I'm actually starting to lose my French. I listen to French on a daily basis, though. Hi there, baby girl. Hi there, baby girl. So yeah, we were talking about receiving messages from our spirit guides, and particularly I was thinking about our content and what we deliver on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I was told that for the Wednesday classes, that we need to pull back a little. We need to stop being so intense with the knowledge that we have. We need to go back and be a little bit more of the beginner stages. So that's why we're pulling at this book. It's almost witching hour here. Ew. Ew. Very nice. That's when we like to do our paranormal investigations during the witching hour. Da da da. So this is a beginner book that I do own. I got it because I was totally attracted to the color of this book. And remember, guys, exact blueprint. I thought that when I was starting to read this that I was getting into human design because this is a blueprint, but it's not. Apparently I was meant to have this. So let us get started. Let's take out this business card. We are reading Psychic Exact Blueprint on How to Develop Psychic Abilities and Explode Open Your Intuition by John Marsh, Telepathy, Fortune Telling, ESP, and Mind Reading. So introduction, page 4. Welcome to Oh my F, guys. I found a spelling mistake on the third word of this book. That hurts my heart a little. That means that this person didn't read their book 8 times. Anyway. I'm a little bit anal like that. I'm sorry. Welcome to an exploration of how you can develop your psychic abilities. And congratulations on taking this step towards realizing your innate psychic potential. It's commonly believed that psychics are among a mystical few, perhaps even supernatural people, gifted with special abilities to communicate telepathically. Oh, me and my words. See into the future and gain access to the subtleties of a greater, deeper knowing about the way our world works. But this book seeks to unlock the psychic ability all people are heir to in varying degrees. While we not all have a powerful gift, we all have access to gifts which can be nurtured to improve our psychic abilities. Human beings are complex creatures. Our bodies are miracles, and our minds are as the masters and overseers of our bodies are organically composed computers, driven by incredibly intricate neural, chemical, and electrical networks. The more we know about human being, the more miraculous we become to ourselves. But in science, have we perhaps been driven into an empirical world which fails to honor our spiritual natures? Science is the miraculous product of our human intricacy, but the discipline continues to struggle with the reality of a psychic phenomenon. That's part of the reason I've written this book. I want to share not only methods by which you might develop your own gifts, but also to review some of the history of the world of psychics and seers. Ooh. I didn't actually read much of this part. I just skipped it. This historical legacy will reveal that science's skepticism and empirical rigor is both right and wrong. Commercially motivated misuses of these gifts speckle the pages of human history, but there are also many instances of gifted people being suppressed by religious authorities and lately by science. Psychics of the past has been called witches, warlocks, and Satan worshippers. Many accused of calling on dark forces of evil were innocent and victims of the frenzy of purifications of heretical influences by those representing the Christian Church. There was a time when knowledge and wisdom were both coveted and feared by the powerful, who kept the secrets of humanity, our true capabilities, and the world's mysteries closely guarded and protected for themselves. The popularization of these mysteries they feared would undermine the magical power of sacred institutions and their authority over the lives of the faithful. Magisterial power, not magical. There have also been many times throughout history during which the truly wise and gifted among us have been concerned that widespread awareness of this knowledge would get out of hand if revealed to the public. The concern was that people would not truly understand the great power that they were capable of and might use it irresponsibly if they were to be made readily available to them. But we are truly blessed to be living in a time in which people's minds are awakening, expanding, and also turning towards greater self-development, heeding the call of something beyond themselves in order to live up to our true potential, individually and communally. This person uses very interesting words. The human race is enjoying a time of unprecedented intellectual and spiritual evolution. The judgment and skepticism generated by our fear of our own others' capabilities beyond the five physical senses is dissolving. So yeah, the fear of these capabilities are dissolving. In place of this fear, we are now living in a time open-minded. What? In place of this fear, we are now living in a time open-mindedness and natural curiosity. Okay, it is not me reading like this. This is how the sentence are actually structured, the way I'm actually reading it. So that sentence literally does not make grammatical sense after even rereading it. Hello, Pega. Did you enjoy your birthday this weekend, Pega? Oh, it's my sister's birthday today. More and more of us are heeding the still small voice within that leads us to our greater, more insightful and fully realized selves. Our intuition is leading us to be all we can be. Even science is beginning to make tentative approaches to the proposition that psychic gifts and intuitive power might be much more than wishful thinking. We'll talk about this later on. Intuition is a seemingly aloof navigator of our lives, leading us to extrapolate conclusions and sometimes educated guesses from information with increasing accuracy without necessarily knowing why. This person uses very interesting words. This intellectual and spiritual impulse is another type of instinct. Hunger, thirst, a sense of danger, sexual attraction, and the natural urge for physical safety are basic, primal instincts that have kept us alive and served us well up to this point in our collective evolution. We have relied on our five senses until this age, for the most part, but now technology that can detect energies in our world beyond the range of our physical senses to help us shape and reshape our understanding of the life on Earth. This person doesn't make any sense. But now, technology that can help detect energies in our world, what about it? Does it exist? Anyway, sorry. This introduction is just angering me, just because of the grammatical errors. I'm sorry. This next phase of humanity's continuing evolution is calling us to develop ourselves beyond our five senses, even beyond the capabilities of technology, yet limited to our current rudimentary understanding of the universe. It's time to step further into our true potential as dynamic, conscious human beings and develop our higher senses and intuitive instincts. This is a wonderful, enriching process, challenging us to reach higher. You will evolve. You will be more content, more understanding and compassionate, wiser, and better equipped to manage yourself in life. Your relationships with others can become deeper and more harmonious through your conscious evolution into a more fully developed human being. That evolution will radically affect the world around you, opening you to the limitless potential we all enjoy if we only choose to develop it. The impact of that potential's development can be a blessing to us all. Exactly. Kirlian photography can see the auras in the electrical field of organisms. So what Jay Sulu said, Kirlian photography, yes, Kirlian photography does exist, and it checks your energetic state before and after a treatment, if you choose to have it both before and after. Typically when people use Kirlian photography, they do it both before and after. The next phase of humanity... Nope. Where do we go? Psychic development is a journey. It's like learning to play an instrument expertly. You have the instrument within you, but letting it collect dust will leave that potential unrealized. And this is exactly what I say. Psychic gifts is like playing a guitar. You have it, you just got to utilize it. You got to practice. And if you don't practice the guitar, you're just going to sound like you're strumming a keyboard, right? And that's the same thing as psychic abilities, is that it's within you. If you just don't practice, then you're just going to understand that psychic abilities do exist, right? And that's about all that you can have access to without practice. Taking active steps to opening your world in a way you have never experienced before is all you need to do. Once you open that door to that potential, stepping through it means that your overall perspective on life will change. It will become richer, fuller, and replete with all the promise you have within you. That seriously were the words in the sentence. And replete with the promise that you have within you. How about I change the sentence? The power of the mind to make your intentions a living reality will be discussed in this book. You will find various methods and guidelines detailing how to develop your psychic abilities, as well as information on the reality of the psychic world you are stepping into. Imagine for a moment that all of us had access to the power of higher consciousness. We do, by the way. As humanity teeters on the brink of catastrophe, that's a belief system, by the way. I believe we're becoming more and more loving every day. That higher consciousness and its practice as a part of all of our lives has the potential to enormous effect, world-repairing change. We have it in our power if we only can reach for it. Your imagination is only the beginning of a journey. Higher consciousness is within your reach and accessible to all who seek it. The potential this represents for humanity is beyond our wildest imaginings. The possibility of a world full of evolving people working together for positive change, even on the unconscious level, a reality we all share, is vision of hope. Thank you for purchasing this book. Oh, no problem, John Marsh. By doing so, you have already acknowledged your psychic abilities. By following an intuitive inclination and pursue something more, something that may have seemed beyond your grasp until now, all you need to do is reach within. That's where the truth about who you are resides. There's so much to share that it can't possibly be confined to only this humble book. So if you like what you read, then please write a review so that more people can share what you learned from it, and also so a more detailed book might be written. Kudos to you for following your intuition. Thank you and keep it up. Now let's explore the world of psychic and limitless potential for the human mind. Of the human mind. All right, the first chapter says, what does it mean to be psychic? What does it mean to be psychic? Well, let's dispel the ambiguity. Oh my god. What's with all these words? Is he trying to prove that he's smart and psychic? Let's dispel the ambiguity of the mysticism surrounding psychic powers right off the bat. Your immediate thought upon hearing the word psychic may be a dark-eyed gypsy woman, her head swathed in elaborate scarved gold hoop earrings dangling in the dim light of a candle, and she gazes into her crystal ball. You may even think of psychic hotlines where the mystic Miss Cleopatra answers the phone in a thick Eastern European accent, ready to tell you all with an eerie accuracy. You will meet a tall, dark stranger, is one of the first things she'll say to you. No doubt about it. Palm readings, tarot cards, astrology, crystal balls, and everything associated with these practices do indeed represent elements of the physical world. They're the stereotype, hokey, corny, and not very credible. Apparently, I'm not credible. In reality, though, they're just a superficial image in the popular consciousness, a sideshow at the main event. But how is it that renowned psychics who truly possess this supernatural skill are able to see beyond the veil of the psychic world? Yeah, if a person needs to put on, a show, they're definitely compensating for something. The truth is, we all possess this capability. Every one of us. It is a talent. It is a latent talent. That's interesting. Because, the word latent is spelt the same way as talent, but you say latent in talent. You don't say talent, but you do say latent. It's very interesting. I'm a wordy. I'm sorry. Okay. It is a latent talent lying dormant in our subconscious, just waiting to be discovered. English is weird, man. Is this like any other skill or talent? Athletics, musical instruments, computer technology, art design, or even business innovation and management. Anything we can do, physically or mentally, has a parallel in our latent psychic abilities. These skills need to be learned. We're not born knowing them, even if we may be born with an aptitude for them. We must learn that the intricacies of the form we wish to master in psychic ability is no exception. Our world is evolving, and we are at a stage in development of human consciousness that is very exciting. We're uncovering the deeper subtleties of reality and our ability to more fully apprehend them. With the help of the internet and the access to the increased awareness and vast storehouses of information all around the world, people are developing themselves in ways they never could before, and it's become a part of their lives. We are learning truths that were refuted or claimed to be fantasy or nonsense in the past. All of this knowledge has existed throughout history. Today, we are beginning to remember the way it always has been. The development of all the branches of science, from physics to biology and psychology, have contributed greatly to understanding what was once considered magical or mysterious as a natural phenomenon that can be explained through scientific investigation. So when people ask me what's a psychic, I say it's stuff that is yet to be proven by science. That's what I call a psychic. Experiences that have yet to be proven by science. As explained earlier, science is both the friend and the enemy of the psychic gift, serving in a role not dissimilar to one served in by the religious authorities of earlier times. But as the mysteries of the universe come to be known, science is also understanding that in the answers there are more questions. And this is a critical fulcrum on which it seems that the scientific community may turn more readily toward exploration of phenomena previously scorned or invalidated by the neglect of its study. This person, I'm telling you, uses really interesting words. Really? Fulcrum? What does that even mean? We're living in a time equivalent to that in which the widespread belief that the world was flat was transitioning into the understanding that, in its truth, round. While the church claimed the suggestion to be false, and while many, Galileo for one, were punished for asserting it, the fact that the world is an orb, not flat, is now globally accepted scientific truth. What was once anathema is now simply factual knowledge. Lies. There's flat earthers around. We are opening our minds to another dimension of reality, and just as we once believed the earth to be flat, there are still flat earthers, I'm telling you, because we were told it was. We're rejecting old norms in favor of new realities. We're learning about revolutionary energetic principles like the recent validation of Einstein's theory of relativity and the darkness of outer space, and evolving as a result. You can see this happening in the fields of metaphysics now. Our scientific understandings to date have been primarily developed from the claims of Newtonian physics. When the apple fell on Newton's head, leading him to develop a mathematical way of understanding our universe more precisely, he threw down the gauntlet and challenged humanity to explore the world in a new way. Architecture, motor vehicles, technology, roads, space exploration, and other technologies are based on the exploration and development of Newtonian physics. He could predict how fast and how long it would take that apple to fall depending on its weight, height, into the tree. He could predict how big of a bump on his head would receive based on the gravitational force with the apple when the apple hit it. Does that make him any scientist who uses his principles? Does that make him or any scientist who uses his principles psychic? Are bridges built by intuition, or are they built by intellect employed in science and engineering? Science dispels mystery. It provides replicable results which prove the validity of its claims through empirical, verifiable demonstrations. And yet today, scientists and mathematicians have made even more wide-ranging discoveries about the world. Many previously inexplicable phenomenon using Newtonian physics and mathematics as the basics of inquiry. They spelt the word inquiry wrong. This person must be like English. That's like spelling magazine with an S or a Z. They definitely spelled inquiry wrong. Are coming to be explained and that earlier understandings modified and built on. The field of quantum physics is instrumental in this respect. Scientists have discovered through quantum physics that the very nature of an object changes when it is being observed. Yeah, inquiry like that. See, look, shocking put with an E and J. Seeley put it with an I. In the book, they spelt it with an E, so I'm assuming that they might be more of the British type of English, because I've never seen it spelt like that. Yeah, this is a very, very important thing to listen to, this next sentence. I don't know if you've ever watched the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? But this theory is explained within that movie. The field of quantum physics is instrumental in this respect. Scientists have discovered through quantum physics, that the very nature of an object changes when it is being observed. I'm going to say that again. The very nature of an object changes when it is being observed. In other words, we create our reality by what we focus on. More of this will be covered on later, delving deeper into what perception, reality, and laws of attraction and manifestation is about. Now, I want to say this one more time. The very nature of an object changes when it is being observed. This is kind of like it kind of confuses me, because it's like when we observe, they're talking about atoms specifically. So it really confuses me, because they say that when an atom is not observed, atoms act in a particular way. And then when we observe atoms, we expect atoms to work in a certain way, therefore they do work in that particular way. But the thing is, though, is that how can we observe unobserved atoms? That's my question. I'm not a scientist, but I'm just throwing that out there. How can we observe non-observed things? Just saying. This is actually something that I talked about last night with my client. I'm like, even though I'm explaining this, I don't know how you observe non-observed things. So, okay. Now, through the understanding of quantum mechanics and metaphysics, when looking at Newton's apple, we're able to consider the energetic force that it is emitted by the living apple, the tree in our bodies. We're unlocking the energetic subtleties and properties of our world and understanding how to manipulate them, how to flow with them in ways that work to our advantage. They behave in state of probability waves. Oh, cool. Jay Sulu has the answer. We're unlocking the energetic subtleties and properties of our world and understanding how to manipulate them, how to flow with them in ways that work to our advantage. We're stepping into a world of energy and vibrations and what they mean. Everything has a certain frequency it vibrates at. Some are more dynamic than others. The implications of this information are fascinating and potentially revelatory. Interesting. Consider how the voice of an opera singer can match the frequency required to shatter a crystal glass. The glass itself has a certain frequency, and the singer's voice, in matching it, causes the glass to vibrate, and the singer increases the volume of the note that's being sung. The glass vibrates more rapidly until its molecular structure separates and ultimately shatters. In a manner of speaking, the same concept can be applied with the principles of attraction. Principle of attraction. Matching your mind and brain waves with a frequency of higher consciousness, helping you to know things that you didn't know before. How do you do this? Knowing the frequency exists in the first step to learning to tune into yourself. So when we're talking about energetic frequencies, we've already started to talk about hertz and how they apply to us and why we need to be aware of them. So it's great that vibrational frequencies are being mentioned in this book as well. When they are observed, they collapse back into assumed positions. That's exactly it. So it's just so weird that when they're not observed, they just do whatever they want. But how do we know that they're doing what they want if we're observing them? Shouldn't they be in their collapsed assumed position? It confuses me. How are they not being observed, but we're making a case study about them? It's just quite interesting. Okay. Everything has a certain frequency it vibrates at. Some are more dynamic than others. The implications of this information are fascinating and potentially revelatory. What? Okay, why didn't I remember reading that? It's possible to consciously navigate vibrations without necessarily understanding the complexities of how their frequencies work. Know that thoughts are vibrations, and different thoughts have different frequencies. Emotions also have vibrations, and through our emotions we can experience union with frequencies representing higher consciousness. Read on to discover more. Da da da. Well, it looks like we might just be reading this the rest of the day. We're going to read one more chapter. It's quite interesting. So right now we are going to start reading about the different types of psychic abilities. This is chapter 2. In this chapter, we will cover the spectrum of higher senses that go beyond the 5 physical senses. Consider that our 5 senses of touch, smell, sight, hearing, and taste are senses of the body. They work with the brain, which is also an organ of the body, to collate information in the world external to our physical realities in order to decipher reality. But we are more than our bodies. We are also spirit, emotion, and intellect. And it's through these human faculties that we are able to approach higher levels of consciousness. Oh, that's very cool, Jay Sulu. That's awesome that you... What the heck is going on with my background? Oh, the cat changed the monitor. That's what happened. That's really cool that you knew the answer to that. The senses described in this chapter are of the mind. These three recognized levels of consciousness are the subconscious mind, awareness in everyday living, the subconscious mind, thoughts, feelings, knowledge, and perceptions that lie behind our consciousness waking mind, and the unconscious mind, which is a cognitive disconnection from the body, most commonly occurring in the deepest stages of sleep. These functions work in concert with one another, even though we're not aware of them. We breathe without thinking, feeling hunger when our bodies require food, are biologically urged to attend the bathroom, and feel the need for sexual union. Our awareness is prompted by these natural functions as we move through our days, performing these tasks required of us in order to reproduce daily life. I actually want to read that out, Jay Sulu. We were talking about atoms. They behave in a state of probability of waves. When they are observed, they collapse back into assumed positions. In the experiment, when it was observed, atoms behaved like waves. When it wasn't, it behaved like particles. So I just wanted to read that out because it makes a lot of sense. The subconscious records all we do and stores it. It registers our emotions and prompts our responses. It is the subtext of daily life in which we are aware only peripherally. Me and my words. But we can gain a much better understanding of ourselves by being aware of the operations of our subconscious. The conscious mind tells us to be logical, analytical, perceptive, and structured. However, the perception of the conscious mind is based on the personal experience and adopted belief systems and can be distorted by emotional interference. In other words, this is why we talk about our stuff we talk about on Friday. In other words, emotions and the limitations of the conscious mind can compel us to make faulty observations and judgments no matter how intelligent we may be. So once again, that's why we talk about this particular chart on Friday, is because this is your user manual of life. These 9 centers are the centers that make the decisions for you. We're not... Yeah. This is a reflection of the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Our subconscious mind often tells us things that are not true. In order to expand our awareness to encompass the fullness of reality, we need to bring our awareness into conversation with the subconscious mind. That conversation represents an access point, which offers us an expanded and more highly evolved consciousness, capable of much more than our conscious mind is on its own. The subconscious mind is a much richer place than the conscious mind is. It is colorful, creative, imaginative, and symbolic. The subconscious relates to dreaming and helps us make sense of our emotions and memories. It's where potential, understanding, awareness, and our natural capabilities, psychic or otherwise, can expand infinitely. Great business leaders and innovators either possess an inherent knack for working from the subconscious mind or have trained themselves to do so. This is because it frees them from the rigid, regimented approach of conscious mind in marketing, design, team management, and other areas, and promotes an alternative, inspired intellectual approach which is both imaginative and harmonious. Artists of all fields work from the subconscious mind and its creative promptings. The unconscious mind may seem like it is relatively inactive, as though nothing happens there. That's literally the opposite. At least from the physical standpoint, it's difficult to conceptualize what it's doing, as our conscious minds are unable to detect its function. All the body's functions, vital functions like breathing and heartbeat, are running on autopilot, yet any form of cognizance inherent to these processes is absent. Whew. The unconscious lies even deeper than the subconscious. So there is conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. And is perhaps the spark from which an imagination originates. To conceive of something greater than ourselves, it is the function of the mind that's called on. From here, we can connect with a vastly orchestrated and intimately conjoined living presence, the collective unconsciousness in Jungian terms. Jungian terms. That's weird. Of which we are all a part of. Carl Jung is who we're talking about, by the way. Through the subconscious mind, the unconscious is a gateway to the collective unconscious we all share. Have you ever had a great idea that gave you the potential to put a plan in action, but you haven't taken advantage of it? Maybe some time goes by and you see your idea actualized by someone else. This reflects the notion that we are all connected through the universal unconscious network from which we may derive ideas and process them into the physical world, and that these ideas are out there for us to discover. If the idea comes to you and you don't take advantage of it, someone else will bring it to fruition. And it's quite interesting that we say this, because you might find that Michael Jackson used this often. Michael Jackson would wake up in the middle of the night and he would call his manager and he would tell his manager to write everything down that he was about to say, and he would. And then he would go back to sleep. And he said, if I don't do this, then Prince will. So it's pretty interesting that this is being said right now. So the behavior of subatomic particles, all particles and objects, are inextricably linked to the presence of an observer, yes. Without a conscious observer, yes. They best exist in an undetermined state of probability waves. Very cool. So we're going into different types of theories now. So this one's called the 100th monkey theory. That's pretty cool because we literally have the power to alter our reality in some way. Jay Sulu has it right there. That's the scientific method of explanation as to how we can crumble reality and build it back up in observance and witnessing. This theory purports to have originated in Japan. It was done with a study of monkeys done in 1952. In 1975, published a book called Rhythms of Vision, which describes these study and its findings. Okay. In essence, it was discovered that learned behaviors reach a tipping point at which these behaviors or skills spread among an identified group and peripheral groups exponentially, thus normalizing them. In the case of the monkeys observed, that behavior was washing sweet potatoes. The monkeys were observed to transmit the skills generationally and then socially to neighboring groups. It was in the book by Ken Keyes, The 100th Monkey, that the theory was popularized. The theory is based on the hypothesis that once an idea, behavior, or skill which is desirable reaches a certain level of popular saturation, the 100th monkey, its dissemination will be accelerated until it is normative. Later in this book, I'll review some of the ideas of Deepak Chopra concerning an impending tipping point in human consciousness. While it doesn't follow the theoretical pattern of the 100th monkey, what it suggests is very similar, that ideas and behaviors reach levels at which it's unavoidable that they will be adopted globally. The same conceptual framework can be applied to the diffusion of higher consciousness as an attainable and desired goal for all human beings. While the scientific community continues to litigate against this effect, it's clear that the diffusion of ideas routinely reaches certain levels of communal consciousness, which causes them to flow out in all directions and become globally accepted. This is observably true. In fact, the book, The Tipping Point, How Little Things Can Make a Big Difference by Malcolm Gladwell, is essentially a revisioning of the 100th monkey theory, in which it's applied to the effect seen in the diffusion of trends and products. It's undeniable that the theory has considerable validity. Further, it's clear that the same theory can be applied to the diffusion of higher consciousness and human understanding of our collective intimacy in the web of the collective unconscious. We may be reaching that tipping point with the support of new technologies like the internet. What this represents is a profound evolutionary shift in human development. And we're actually expecting this evolutionary shift by 2027, by the way. Moving from a 7-chakra being to a 9-centered being. So now we're going to talk about dreams and the unconsciousness just for a quick period. An example of bringing information from the subconscious into consciousness is simply the act of remembering dreams. Dreams occur as the fruit of our unconscious minds. There are many theories as the purpose of dreams, and while each has its own place, a great number of dream researchers who've based their thinking on the work of famous psychologist Carl Jung believe that dreams are a safe place to symbolically play out emotions and scenarios of concerns from our waking life. But a lot of people can't control their dreams. So there's actually a university down in California that's trying to create this hat that you put on before you go to sleep, so that when you reach this certain state of dreaming, that it will like make this sound, and then that's like you learning like the Carl